Framework K case.
Yep. You all ready?
Yes.
Two reasons for the negative framework in this round. The first reason is that they're going to lose in a presumption level. If there's no way they can solve for any of their impacts outside around or even within the debate space means you probably should prefer the negative because they have the burden of proof of proving that they can actually solve for their harms, which we've heard multiple reasons why they don't. They drop a lot of them in the 1AR. Next, the critique is going to outweigh and probably prove that all their impacts are going to replicate under the way that their methodology. We prove that our methodology is better for debate through the criticism. Now under framework, we're not going for interpretation, which means all their offense goes away. However, the 1AR does not fundamentally cover the presumption level claims. The version you send the Voter 93 evidence to the real world card, they don't solve mobilization for shit. Everything gets co-opted unless it benefits the actual structure of debate, meaning that they're not going to be able to, all their movements are going to get shut down in the status quo. None of their evidence is even in the context of debate, so you probably shouldn't wait anyway for them to solve back. Next, you can send the BIPO 11 card. This is the education argument. They don't solve for education because it's just going to be another mass of these narratives that already exist. This means that the education just is overloading in the status quo. There's no way to actually mobilize this education in the status quo because of that. They don't answer this argument at all. It means you fundamentally drop them on presumptions around their education. Never can be manifested in the status quo. What we have to do is stop these type of narratives so the education can collapse itself in the status quo. Next is the critique.
The eulogy, I don't even.
Eulogy, whatever. The card's talking about the same thing they're saying. Whatever. All right. Welcome to the graveyard. This one we have to talk about right now. They say that there's not unique because we're making this invisible. First, you can look at the link debate. Like the variable of the ideology does not just simply disappear. These ideologies are what are creating all their impacts in the status quo. They try to they just try to say that these are already invisible. But one, it doesn't even matter if even this argument's unique. The link proves why they're specifically not going to solve back because they're allowing it to remain invisible. All they do is bury these ghosts and allow them to continue to exist. This lets more ghosts replicate. They never answer the argument about this leads to more ghosts existing, more ideologies that create the fundamental problems that exist in the status quo. And they don't answer that. That means every time that they do, this sort of actually have to go to other ghosts. They literally say word for word that we're not attempting to banish ghosts. We will just go try to solve those other ghosts. That means that we're inevitably stuck in this cycle of trying to solve our harms and never solving the fundamental root cause of these harms. The ghosts are the root cause of these problems. These ideologies that exist that are the fundamental reason why we do things. So things like patriarchy and all these different the social norms that they're trying to bear are rooted in patriarchy, rooted in other types of power structure and the law of domination. They get solved back for also their no link articulation is non-existent in the 1AR. There's a risk of a 1% risk of a link means it's going to turn their app because the burial is improper. These ghosts will continue to come back, which and they become more invisible, more insidious. They have more ways to have inroads into our life. You look back at the cross example about things like the civil rights movement wasn't enough to solve back for things like racism, and actually gave it more ways to control behavior through things like police brutality and other types of insidious arguments. That means that all their impacts are going to be even worse in the debate space after the modeling. They'll be more insidious because it's not okay to exploit female debaters and judge them in their appearance. However, it'll happen in the same exact way. They never stop it from happening. Now, they say that the 1AC their 1AC recognizes these ideologies. That's totally not true. They're just trying to bury it, suppress it, and make it go away. They can see that when they say that they'll just go to these other ghosts. That means that they just allow the ideologies to keep coming out, meaning that they link. Next, the alternative debate. They say that we're not Ghostbusters. However, we aren't trying to be Ghostbusters. That the alt is a seance. We need to talk to these ghosts. We need to understand why these different types of things exist. We are the ghost whisperers in the round. We allow for us to have this actual articulation with the different type of ideology. We found why they exist, how they keep coming back, and that's the only way we can actually bear. And this is a prerequisite to any sort of solvency for case. All we need is ghost whisperers. Yeah, we talk to the ideology. It's pretty cool.
Extend 0 to 6 on the ethics question.
What?
Extend 0 to 6 on the ethics question.
Oh yeah,
she didn't engage with the ethics question.
Oh yeah, you can also send narrative for the ethics question. They never answer this in the 1AR, meaning that they can't give them any other ethics argument at the end of the round on the case debate. Thanks, partner. They also lose a lot of presumption level question on the case debate, meaning that mitigated risk of case is probably not going to weigh up to the total case turn of the critique. Now, we're going to start with the tyranny of the self argument. They try to say they're not moral argument. Yes, they do. They want a specific, they want us to cross-apply how they're going to tackle other ghosts. That is a moral high ground. They just think that they can keep solving for all the problems without tackling the root cause. And that's tyranny of self. We're going to keep trying to pursue these certain types of hypothetical futures where we can solve relationships. We're trapped in that sort of logic, which means that we'll never be able to fully appreciate ourselves. We'll hate ourselves because we cannot solve for all the issues that are going on in the status quo. Now, on their burial argument, the argument that they're old isn't just saying we shouldn't wait because it's old. No, it means that it already should have been solved for in these other burial instances. We should have already solved this issue. However, they sprang back up just relates back to the logic of the criticism. Next, it still isn't in context of the debate. They don't answer that question, which means that you can't weigh any sort of solvency advocate. It's not going to solve the debate space. It's specific to political movements outside of the debate spaces. They don't give them any weight to that in this ASCO. And also, on to the mapping. First, they actually force out, and they try to say they don't. However, they only create in order to create a movement, they would need more people as their solvency card. And to the tertiary, this self proves that there is no option to choose. We have to be in this moral high ground to exist in debate, to be considered ethical debaters, and not like forcing people to conform. The only way that's why we couldn't go for the framework argument in this round. Next, you can also extend the academy card. They dropped this at the UC Berkeley. It means the academy really doesn't give a shit about what they're reading. It means that they'll just pat themselves on the back and have this self-congratulation after round. I mean, they don't solve that around. One of their main arguments out of the which means they get no out-round impacts, they get no in-round impacts. All they say is other people have said, like, oh, we like this, but most of the academy doesn't care, and that's their whole 1AC is that the academy doesn't care. So that means on presumption they can't even solve back. The debate space doesn't care. They can't mobilize it. Tyranny of the self means that like their impact's going to replicate anyway, and the K is the only way to solve back for it. It means it's try or not solve anything.
All right, 333.
Thank you.